I grew up about 40 miles from here. I grew up on a dairy farm in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. The reason I'm in this area now is I went to Worcester Polytech, and that's where I got my undergrad degree. And I've been moving back and forth between Central Mass and Southeast Mass, Rhode Island, through the length of my career. During the summer, yes, I was working full-time at the farm, so up at 4:30, 5 o'clock on a milking day. We had a milking schedule, so we didn't have to milk every day. I remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go over and milk in February, and having to break ice so the cows could drink, and having to break ice so we could get the silage out to feed them. The top layer would freeze and it'd be warm underneath, and then be home for dinner about 6:30. Yeah, I did very well in school. A student. I considered myself the highest ranking kid in my high school who really wasn't trying hard. And went from high school to I got recruited by the Army, so I went to West Point when I graduated.
You went to West Point? Wow.
Briefly. I finished my plebe year, and then as I was wrapping up my first year at West Point, my parents announced that they were separated and getting a divorce, and I still had two brothers at home, and it was kind of an ugly situation, so I just couldn't deal with it remotely. Mm-hmm. That's why I left. But
how old were your brothers at the time?
So I was 18. So my brother Mike was 14, and my brother Mark was 12.
Wow, that must have been hard.
It was, but I learned a lot. West Point was a great experience for me. I still have regrets about leaving, but I'm not unhappy with where I ended up. So it's all for the best. So I get to Worcester Polytech, and the first thing I learned about trying to go to civilian college was that my free ride boat from West Point didn't get transferred to the civilian school, so I had to actually pay my way. And for the first, you can't get financial aid as a transfer student until you're established at the school. So I had to pay for that first semester out of my own pocket. My parents didn't have the money, so I worked. It was a year and a half between schools for me while I earned the money so I could go back to school. Once I got there, I realized I was going to need help to get through, and I joined the National Guard. They found out about West Point, so they recruited me into the ROTC program, and there I was back being a cadet again. So.
And you went in as an officer?
I did not.
You just keep leaving them at the church door,
yeah,
don't
exactly.
you?
I put in like another year and a half to 2 years with the Army, and long story short, there were a lot of problems with my documentation because of West Point. And I had a chance to get away from the bureaucracy without serving my 6 years, and I took it. What was interesting now looking back on it was I was raised by my extended family, not by just my parents. We lived as an extended family. So my grandparents actually ran the farm. We lived across the street. So I wasn't just getting my values from my parents, who were typical Massachusetts Democrat liberals in the 60s, but also from my grandparents who lived through the Depression and were still saving tinfoil on a daily basis. So I had that thriftiness, the New England Yankee thriftiness. I had the Yankee work ethic instilled in me by my grandparents. I learned to work hard and to never quit.